Hello everyone. So I wanted to talk about the Omori Manga adaptation because I'm a massive fan of the game and I thought it'd be cool to give my take on the first chapter, which is the only chapter available at the time of this recording. This is not like a thing I typically talk about on this channel, manga and whatnot, but since this is an adaptation of a game and this is primarily a gaming channel, I think this fits. Also, I apologize for being late to this topic because the chapter came out like 2 or so weeks ago. So yeah. So let's just get into the pros, the cons, and everything in between in this first chapter. So I really like how they start this actually. It opens with Sunny having a nightmare and like instantly you can see the horror vibes that's so present in the game. And I think it's done very well here. It's a genuinely creepy opening and I think that's a really good thing to establish something like that early. I mean, first impressions are everything, right? So yeah, I really like that demonic Mari scene. Something else that's immediately apparent that I think goes without saying will be in the future chapters of this manga as well is that everyone is so much more expressive in this adaptation. Like there's a lot more emotion in their faces, which I guess is natural since the game is made up of RPG Maker sprites, but you did get a little bit of expressiveness through the little icons when people speak in the game, but that's about it. Of course, the dialogue in Omori, the game was very expressive though, like you would get a good grasp of each character's personality pretty quickly, but there wasn't much to actually see in the game in regards to like expressiveness and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a good thing. The pacing of this chapter was a little weird. Like this part where Kel is walking with Sunny after not seeing him in however long, and they see Aubrey bullying Basil. This doesn't happen in the game for quite a while, I don't think. But this in the manga, it's the very first chapter that this happens. So that is pretty strange, like that they would start with this, but hopefully the pacing is not this off in future chapters. So Sunny doesn't talk in this chapter, so I'm assuming he won't talk for the remainder of the manga because that's how the game is. So I wasn't sure if they were gonna do that, but yeah, it's now basically confirmed that Sunny actually doesn't talk. But I believe we do get to read his thoughts at one point, like when Aubrey mentions Mari and he kind of has like a breakdown. He says, "No, my big sister Mari," and he gets like cut off, something like that. But yeah, the point is that we do get to see what he's thinking from time to time, I imagine. So something I don't like, it's not the biggest deal ever, but it's that these characters, they don't look their age, and I don't think that's just me. They actually look about half their age, to be honest. I'm pretty sure these characters, with an exception of Hero because he's older, but they're between like 15 and 17, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that they're about 12 because they literally look like they're 12. So I feel like that's gonna confuse some people that are unfamiliar with the game later down the line. I don't know. But while we're talking about visuals, let's talk about the art style and the mangaka behind this because I think that's important to bring up. So the mangaka Nui Koniyoto, I hope I'm not butchering that, to my knowledge has never written another full-blown manga before, and if they have, I couldn't find any information on it. But I think this is their first go at this, and I think they did pretty decent for a first time doing this ever, personally, with this chapter. The art style is drastically different from the official art we see in the game, but I actually like it, outside of the characters looking a bit too young. And really briefly, I'm going to talk about the mangaka's history. So, people have found some of Konoito's old accounts where they would post their art and whatnot, because they're obviously an artist, they're writing a manga, and it's come out that they've drawn some very taboo, looked down upon things, I'll put it that way. And I'm not going to get into the whole drama of that situation, but that's not what this video is about. But some people seem to think that Omocat chose this artist in particular because of the questionable things they've drawn in the past. And you're probably like, why would Omocat see that as a positive for this manga? Well, Omocat has been in some controversy kind of pertaining to the type of content that Konoito would draw in the past, and you know, those kind of themes. So people think Omocat saw something she could relate with or something and chose her to write the manga, which I think sounds stupid and ridiculous. I'm not defending either of them, I'm just saying that it's very unlikely, in my opinion, that the questionable art that she would make specifically in the past has any bearing on her being selected to do the art for this manga. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to make this whole video about that. But back to the actual chapter. I'm not really sure how engaging this will be for newcomers to Omori. I mean, like people that know nothing about the game. Will those people be hooked by this chapter? I really don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that. And it's been a while since I actually played Omori myself, but I think the faraway town part of this chapter hits a bit harder for us who played the game. But for those people that didn't, I'm not so sure they would give a fuck about what's happening here, yet at least, because they obviously don't know these characters at all. So Basil getting bullied and shit like that means nothing to them right now. And that could go for the entire manga, for all we know. It could be like something with good fan service and whatnot, but newcomers just, there's nothing here for them. That's a very real possibility. ability. And the chapter ends with them introducing Omori as an entity and a glimpse into Headspace. So we'll have to see how they handle Headspace. If they can keep the Headspace engaging, because it works really well in the game, but having chapters upon chapters of just Headspace, I just don't know how well that's gonna translate to a manga adaptation. So we'll just have to wait and see for that one. But yeah, overall, I actually really enjoyed this personally. Pros, I'd say that there's a lot more expressiveness than the game, and the art's good, and the horror elements seem spot on in my opinion. The cons, I'd only say that the pacing's a little weird to start with, and that the characters look too young, which might prove to be a bit confusing later down the line for newcomers, like I said earlier. But that's about it for cons for me personally. I've seen some people say this was a disaster, and while it's definitely far from perfect, I personally don't think it was that bad for first chapter of this adaptation. I don't know if I'll cover any future chapters. If I do, I promise it won't be 2 weeks after the chapter releases, but we'll see, I guess. It depends on how this video does, I guess. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you guys think. Is it good? Is it terrible? I'd like to know what you guys think about this. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.